These are yours, yes?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
I brought you all out here to join me in looking forward toward the future.
Perhaps you can help your husband sound less like he shined shoes for a wage.
I'm sorry. Will you please pass that back?
They do not want us here.
Who do you mean?
The people here, they do not want us here.
Hello YouTube, how's it going? My name is Lee, and I am here to review The Brutalist, which you just saw a quick look at right before I started yapping at y'all. So The Brutalist is a new film directed by Brady Corbet, or Corbett, I'm not sure how you say his name, I should have looked it up. But it stars Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, and Joe Alwyn. And basically it is about an architect who survived the Holocaust, immigrated to America, and has been tasked by Guy Pearce's character to build this giant, you know, pretty much 4 buildings in one as like a monument to the memory of his mother and stuff. And all the wacky hijinks that they get into along the way. Yeah, so this film just recently got nominated for Best Picture. We just went over the Oscar nominations and stuff. And a lot of critics love it. It recently got into some controversy, which we will save and talk to after I give my review and give my star rating. It is a huge, grand, sweeping American epic made on the budget of just $10 million, which is very impressive. They shot this thing on VistaVision, which movies have not shot on VistaVision regularly since like the 60s, I believe. I actually literally looked up what the last movie was that shot on VistaVision, and I already forgot it because I'm a moron and I didn't write it down anywhere. Yeah, it's been a long time since anything shot on VistaVision, and it's actually really smart, a really smart choice that they chose VistaVision, because to be honest with you, that does hide the fact that this is a lower budget movie, because everything looks big and epic on VistaVision, especially if you see this thing in IMAX like I did. I do think the IMAX is worth it for this movie. Some people may be worried about the runtime because it's 3 hours and 35 minutes. And I know a lot of people had issues with that with both The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon from Martin Scorsese. But unlike those two films, which Irishman was on Netflix, so you can pause it anytime you want, so you don't really have an excuse to not watch it. With Killers of the Flower Moon, I can understand why people would be a little deterred from seeing it in theaters. That's a 4-hour movie. I didn't have a problem with it. Only had to get up and pee one time, so that was good. Didn't miss anything when I did. But this movie has a built-in intermission. It's got an overture, which the overture to me felt a little pointless because it was very short. I didn't understand why have an overture if it's that short. Didn't make sense to me. But it does have a built-in intermission. It's 10 minutes, so you can get up, use the restroom. I had enough time to use the restroom, and I got hungry because the movie started late, actually. They had some technical issues with the IMAX screening, so it started a little bit like 20 minutes later than usual. And I got hungry, went and grabbed some popcorn, refilled my drink and stuff, and then came back, and I still had like 4 minutes left on the clock because it has a little timer as well. And the score's playing the whole time while you're there. So if the runtime has you being like, I'm not going to sit there and watch a movie for 3 hours and 35 minutes, it does have an intermission. And I will say, if you're going to make your movie on the longer side, might as well put an intermission in there. You know what I mean? I know Scorsese was vehemently against it when it came to Killers of the Flower Moon, but I do think it would have helped that film's box office if people knew that they had an opportunity to get up and go pee without missing anything in the movie. You know what I mean? And, you know, something like Avengers Endgame that's also 3 hours, or like The Batman. I love these films, but let's get an intermission up in here. I definitely could have used an intermission in Deadpool and Wolverine, which is way shorter, but that would have given me an excuse to get up and leave the theater. Guess I hate that movie. Anyway, like I said, the main story is that of an immigrant story in America, which is a very important story to hear right now, considering everything going on politically in the US at this time, which is very unfortunate that we have to have those conversations in the year 2025, but it is what it is. In that sense, I do think this is a very important film to watch. Now, I didn't actually vibe with this movie the way that other people have. There was something about it that for some reason when it was done, I just was like, that was really good. The craft on display is immaculate. It's like, It's a massive film made for like a dime store budget, which is insane. It honestly like makes you question where the money on something like Red 1 starring The Rock went. I know where the money went. It went to The Rock. It is one of those things where you're like, wow, man, I can't believe they did this for $10 million. Although me personally, I could see where they were cutting corners. For example, you never really get to see the big, giant, massive building that they're building. Even in the background, they always have it silhouetted. It's dark, or they have close-ups and stuff. This movie is mostly, even though it's shot in VistaVision and there is some spectacular images on display here, I don't want to diminish first of all, how impressive it is that they did this on the budget level, especially shooting in this format and on film. And I don't want to diminish the fact that there's some phenomenal imagery on display here, especially the first opening scene. I think is one of the best opening scenes I've seen all year. Well, I guess it's not, the year hasn't been going that long, but it's a phenomenal opening sequence, and it visually shows you not only where Adrian Brody is going as a character, but also what he's bringing with him. And I thought that it was a brilliant way to showcase that, to be honest with you, especially visually and auditorily. I was just like kind of blown away by it. I was like, holy shit. Unfortunately for me, the rest of the film never really reached the heights of that first like 2 or 3 minutes. And that's, you know, that kind of sucks, man. I like this film a lot. I think the performances are really, really good. Granted, there's some controversy regarding the performances, which we'll get into in a minute. And I do think the movie's very, very good. I don't diminish anything in this movie, but there are times when I could tell that they were cutting corners and being smart. It's smart the way they cut corners, because you don't really notice it until you think about it after you see the movie. But usually with these big grand American epics like this, you know, they have like lots more people around, lots more shots of giant things, you know, stuff like that. This movie does have that, but it's not as much as something like, say, Once Upon a Time in America or Once Upon a Time in the West. Sorry to only drop Sergio Leone movies, but that's what's on my brain right now for some reason. But yeah, it is one of those things where you can kind of tell that it's not as like grand and sweeping as some of the other big epics that you've come to know and love. And I think that for me, maybe it hurt it a little bit. I'm not really sure. Like I said, there's a disconnect for me. I think the direction the story takes among the characters, I was a little disappointed with. And it also has an epilogue that I thought was unintentionally funny, and also wasn't as good as the rest of the film either. It really left me on like a sour note. I was like, why did you end this movie like this? I don't understand. But overall, I do think it's really good. I understand why everyone likes it. I understand why it's up for Best Picture. The performances are all fantastic. You know, Guy Pearce, you know, he's giving it his all in this. Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, everybody from top to bottom, no matter how big or small their role is crushing it in this movie. But for me, it just didn't hit. And I'm not really sure why. I had the same issue with Brady Corbett's last film, Vox Lux, starring Natalie Portman, a movie that, you know, for all intents and purposes, should very much be my kind of thing. And I think I actually might like Vox Lux better than The Brutalist. I'd have to rewatch it to confirm that. But everyone I knew, as well as like critics, like really loved Vox Lux, especially the critics who I trust, really loved Vox Lux. And I really love like stuff about Vox Lux with the performances, Natalie Portman, as well as like the technical stuff on display, the cinematography, the music in that film I think is really good as well. Same thing with the Brutalist. I think the score for the Brutalist is phenomenal. I think the cinematography is great, the acting is great, but for some reason there's a disconnect for me, and I think I just felt like I left the theater cold. I didn't have that emotional punch that so many other people are having with it. I'm not really sure why, honestly. It's kind of weird. I just had like, I don't know, something about it I just didn't connect with. So anyway, because of that, my personal score is 3.5 stars out of 5. I think the movie's good. I think it's really good. You need to see it. It's an important film, especially considering what's going on politically right now with immigrants and everything, and migrants and what they're doing, which is completely disgusting. But anyway, try to see it in a large scale format if possible. Shooting this in VistaVision makes the film just look like nothing you've seen in a long time. Seeing it in IMAX was amazing. Hopefully they don't have technical issues like my theater did. So I can admire the craftsmanship on display, but as far as me personally, it's just not something I'm going to ever really revisit or watch again or anything. But I'm glad I saw it, if that makes sense. And I think you should take the time to see it as well, especially if you like this sort of movie. So now I want to take this last little moment of the review to talk about the controversy. So this film uses AI, which that story dropped literally, I think a day or two before I saw it, I got my ticket, and then this story dropped, and I was like, huh. So I read about it, and I also read the director's response. So basically, what I understand is, so the editor for this film is Hungarian. Adrian Brody's character and Felicity Jones's characters are Hungarian. A lot of Hungarian spoken in this film. Felicity Jones, most of her role, actually, she speaks Hungarian. Due to the nature of her role, she has a lot of voiceover and stuff. She doesn't speak English anywhere near as much as Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody does speak English, and they both have Hungarian accents and stuff when they're speaking English. But the controversy is that while they're speaking Hungarian, they used an AI tool called Respeech to go back and like make their Hungarian sound more authentic, basically. And people are like, well, does that take away from their performances and blah, blah, blah. I don't think so, personally. After seeing the film, I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it out to be, because their performances are still there. They're still phenomenal. I'm curious to know, like, did Felicity Jones and Adrian Brody know that they were doing this? How much of the AI really change as far as like the syllables and stuff that they're saying? Like, I'm just really curious. I think that considering this is up for so many Oscars now, I think that they kind of have to be very transparent with how much this AI changed in their vocal performances when they're speaking Hungarian, at least. Adrian Brody, as far as he's concerned, he speaks a lot of English in this movie with an accent, and he's phenomenal in this. I mean, I don't see how you can diminish his performance in any kind of way. They will definitely try to... I think Felicity Jones will take probably a bigger hit, probably, just because she speaks more Hungarian. But once again, her performance is so good in this movie, I don't see how you can take away from it. You know what I mean? So, you know, they got to be just a little bit more transparent when it comes to that aspect of the AI. Now, another aspect of the AI that they use is apparently they used it to generate some images. Specifically, there's a reel that they use to play at the end of the film that showcases Adrian Brody's work throughout the years and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And funny enough, I knew about the controversy going into it, which is unfortunate, but I think I would have spotted it anyway, because I actually thought that was the weakest part of how the film looked. Sorry, my dogs and stuff are barking, but I kept looking at it and I was like, why does this not look as good as the rest of the film does? And it turns out that they use those AI to generate those images that you see during that reel. And they kind of get away with it a little bit because it's supposed to be like, you know, like a recording anyway that's being projected. Maybe it's like a VHS tape. They don't really make it clear how it's being shown. And to be honest with you, they could have definitely, the budget might have gone up like a little bit, but they could have like built that stuff or even maybe used stock footage for some of it. I'm not really sure, because there is such a thing as brutalist architecture that they could have used and just said that Adrian Brody's character built this. So it is a little confusing. It makes me wonder if it was like a last minute thing where they shot the whole movie. It is at the very end of the film, by the way, and they don't use any AI generated images before that. Well, I think they use it on some of the blueprints that they show in the film, which, once again, is a little confusing because you could have just had someone draw that, or you could have just literally grabbed blueprints. It's such a glancing moment. It's odd to use AI for it, but it could have been one of those things where they just didn't have the time or the money to go back and do pickup reshoots or anything like that for that stuff the way that they thought. So they were just like, well, let's just use AI to do this. We don't have the money or the budget for CGI artists to go back and do it or anything like that. That could be what's going on. Like I said, they got to be transparent with this stuff about like what it was. And Brady Corbett did talk about that, and he did talk about how Adrian Brody he talked mostly about Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones's performances. He didn't really talk about the AI generated stuff in the reel, right? But this is not anything egregious the way that like the Coca-Cola Christmas ad from last year was. That crap was horrendous. And it's like, you have so much money, Coca-Cola. Why are you doing this? That's dumb. And it looked terrible. Luckily, I don't think it really detracts from the film, and they used it as a tool rather than like taking someone's job. But I do think like AI is such a hot topic, and especially in Hollywood right now. I have an issue with it when they're using it to just generate a movie or make a script or whatever. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. They should not be doing that. I want AI to wash my dishes, not write my movies. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I don't think the controversy is as big a deal as people are making it out to be, but they've got to come out and be transparent about this a little better. So, anyway, guys, that's my review on The Brutalist and my thoughts about the controversy. If you saw it, let me know what you think. I believe it opens up wide on Friday. I got to see it a little bit early. It was awesome because it was out in theaters here a little bit earlier. And yeah, it's great. Definitely check out. I think it's like legitimately, like, craftsmanship wise, it's a great movie. But just personally, I'm just like, I didn't connect with it the way I thought I would. But you should definitely check it out. Definitely worth watching. You know, let me know what your opinion is on the controversy and everything. So anyways, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll be back with more videos. Got a lot of videos coming out. A lot of stuff I'm covering today in particular in this big, long 12-hour stream. But anyway, guys, hope you all have a wonderful day or night or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Peace.